Welcome everyone. In today's video we're gonna review the games that was played in the Fide World Cup semifinals against Fabiano. Caruana was young Indian chess grandmaster Praggnanandhaa. They were playing the tiebreaks because the first two classical games ended in a draw. So we'll review those games. So let's begin. At first we should review the tiebreak system. So both players have 25 minutes to rapid tiebreaks, and if the games were drawn, they're gonna continue playing even with lower and lower time formats. So in this game, this is the first game of tiebreaks. Caruana has the white pieces, and let's begin reviewing this game. E4 is played by Caruana, E5, and these players in the semifinals are playing Gioco Pianissimo. As you can see, Fabiano castles and tries to concentrate his rook on the center file, then castles by Praggnanandhaa. We see h3, we see a6, and now Caruana starts to build the momentum on the queen side by his pawns. After bishop drops back and Caruana develops his knight, many systems like this, like Italian game or just Rui Lopez Spanish, have very much maneuvering with pieces and many other pawns and queens and knights. So after bishop drops back to b3, knight comes and on the king side, and what you can see on the most of the Italian games is that white will definitely try to advance his pawns, get advantage on the queen side, while black will try to attack king side. So now Caruana redirects his knight, and a few moves later we can see that the engine says that black has equalized, but this is not really the case from the human eyes. Even though position is at bit equal, we can see that the Caruana still has some momentum, and he will try to go through and push and press against Praggnanandhaa. After a few moves, we can see that Caruana is only going through with his pawns on the queen side. After bishop e6 and bishop d7, now Praggnanandhaa is the one who is calling the shots, who is trying to attack his opponent, but because he really used his time to develop many pieces like knights, like bishops, and these two bishops are in a very bad position. They really don't have open lines. This is very closed game, so knights will be more advantageous in the positions like this. After queen c8 and queen 2, players exchange pawns for the first time, and knight comes to f4. After queen drops back to f1, we can see Praggnanandhaa tries to push his opponent by c5. Caruana doesn't want to take the pawn. He pushes with b5, takes, and now Praggnanandhaa comes with his pawn. Now Caruana places his bishop in the square that his pawn is not going to push anymore. After bishop drops back to d7, we can see rook d1, and now Praggnanandhaa has made a bit of mistake because Caruana has a not major but still a big advantage to win the game. Engine now suggests that bishop b6, not bishop b6, b6 is the way to go for the white, but let's see what Caruana will play in the position like this. He plays a mistake, which is rook b4, but from the human knight is very normal to play like this. Engine wanted to play this because it would lock the lines and disconnect the rook and the queen from ever going together other than the c8 square, and this queen side will always be blocked, and when we'll reach the endgame, white will have advantage back then. But it was really hard move to find. So Caruana goes with this plan with b1 rook playing rook a b1. After bishop drops back, now Caruana plays this very important move. But now problem is that now Prag has pieces mobilized, and rook finds ideal square on the d8. You can see that it could be an ideal square, but engine finds here bishop takes c5. So bishop takes c5 is really advantageous move because after takes, even though Pragg has advantage, White has many moves. So engine says after takes, the best move is to take, and then queen takes f4 is the best move. And now Caruana has a pawn advantage, but Caruana plays with queen d6. He doesn't see this idea, but he still has some advantage. After takes, knight h5, takes and check. Caruana plays great move, plays king f1. He doesn't lose advantage that he has yet. After takes and takes, we can see position is balanced, but Caruana has, if anyone has initiative and anyone is trying to win in this position, is Caruana. After rook a6, Caruana is getting ready to push the pawn on a file. After bishop comes back, takes, and now Caruana made a mistake with king e1, and now Pragg also misses the opportunity and goes to a6 with his bishop. After takes, rook e8, engine still thinks that Caruana has a very big advantage. After blunder, which is king d2, apparently f4 was the best move by the engines, but for some reason Caruana goes with the d4. After knight takes d4, which is considered the brilliant move by the engine, now Caruana's advantage is gone because he was also low on time. We should consider that Caruana isn't really very good at rapid and blitz games. After takes, bishop drops back, and rook b5. Now Pragg still makes one mistake, which gives Caruana advantage, but we can see after a few moves that situation is getting a little very dicey for Pragg. In this position, Caruana has absolutely major advantage. Engine says that king d6 is the best, so and Fabiano goes with it, and then c2 is played by Pragg. Now engine says rook c1 is the best move to block this. Caruana plays rook c1, and now everything is going perfect for Caruana at this point. After takes, which is still the best move by engine, rook b1 is played by Pragg. Now in this position, Caruana still finds the best move and takes the pawn. Caruana still has a major advantage against Pragg, but he's low on time just like Pragg, and we've seen that Pragg is very resourceful at the situations like this, so let's see how this will unfold. After takes, bishop drops back, and bishop going to here. Now Caruana still plays the best move, which is b7. Now Pragg goes to bishop a6, which is the only move actually. Now Caruana still plays the best move, which is king c7, and now after check, Caruana still plays great, absolutely amazing best move, which is blocking this attack with the bishop. After takes, and go and rook c2. Now advantage that Caruana has almost blown away with the move f4. Apparently a6, just pushing the pawn, was a major advantage for white, and white would have won this definitely, because whether black does anything like giving a check, he's met with king c7, and now every hope is lost for black. But now this is not what happens. Caruana made a mistake, and his advantage is almost gone. After a few moves, Pragg is really starting to show his resourcefulness at a situation like this. He makes very good moves. Now position is almost you can't do anything about this position. Pragg plays fairly accurate moves, and the players agreed to a draw. This first tiebreak was a draw, even though Caruana had a massive massive advantage. So we'll back in a few minutes. After a few minutes of setting up my board, I'm now back, and we're gonna review another game of Prague and Fide that was played in the FIDE World Cup semifinals. It was the second tiebreak, so let's see how this will go. Prague is now with the white pieces, and he goes with his usual d4. Knight f6 is played, and a few moves later we get the position which is generally known as the London system. London system is very complex opening, especially in the Grandmaster level. In the beginner level, it's one of the most popular openings in history. Actually, many beginners play this, many beginners are taught this. But in the Grandmaster level, it's very interesting. Also, we have to note that first player who played this opening in the World Chess Championship was Tiebreaks against Jan Nepomniachtchi, and he won with this opening. So London has found some success in recent years by grandmasters, so they decided to go with the London system. Prague decides to go with that. After queen e7, you can see that the position is very equal, and queen b3 is the Prague's idea to push his opponents to his limits and to press and try to get an advantage. After takes, Caruana goes with knight c5, and Prague is forced to play queen a3, and players exchange a few moves. After a bit of a trade, I thought that this move would have been very good for white when I watched this, but Angie disagrees with me, because after queen takes a3 and pawn takes a3, it's still an equal position. So this, I got that out of my mind after that. After queen b3 and b5 played by Caruana, Engine and almost every grandmaster that I was watching said that this was a dead draw, because there is no imbalances in the position other than two knights against knight and a bishop, and the pawns were same, the position of the pawns were exactly the same, and it was like nothing. Activity was also the same, even though Prague had a bit of activity, and you can see throughout the game that nothing it really changes, other than a few moves later Prague gains a bit of momentum, because you can look at the Caruana is trying to push his pawn on the a file, and Prague is trying to exchange pieces on the queen side, which will help him later in the game. He thinks that way, and Engine agrees with him. He is with a right idea that also blockading and attacking is possible at the position, so he goes with his plan. He brings his king, he tries to attract opponent's moves on the other side of the board. After check given by Caruana, the advantage that Prague had was gone, but Prague doesn't make mistakes like this. He plays f2, and after takes and pushing pawns by Prague, we can see that Prague's positional advantage is still coming back. After takes, king f3 and f5, Prague has a bit of chances against Caruana, but they agree to a draw. They decide to, they have no other choice, because everything like this was decided after this move. After check and after taking it, after exchanging this, Prague decided to play a draw here. He had felt that he had no chance of winning this, and Caruana was for the most part playing for the draw here. So these players didn't went too far during this game, and another draw played by between these two players in tiebreaks. So I'm gonna be back with the next game. So we're back with this game. We're gonna review another tiebreak of these two players. The previous were all drawn. So let's see how this will unfold. Prague had white pieces again, and Fabi had black pieces. e4, e5, knight c3. So knight f3, and they play with this Italian line. Prague goes to traditional line, but they don't play gioco pianissimo. But Prague is truly trying to utilize the major advantage that pawns on the queen side has white has. So he still goes with that idea. He trades a knight for the bishop in this position. He has undermined some of the Caruana's pieces, but you can see that this game is a bit of a drawish. You can see that Caruana's pawns in the middle are doubled, but he can use this pawn as a liabilities or opportunities to open up the position for his advantage. We'll see. Queen G7 is played, a bit of a prophylactic move because he probably Caruana didn't see a great favor in staying under this pin on f7 with bishop on b3, so he went with king g7. Now Pragg decides to attack. He goes with f4. Now queen c7 and rook e1. Rook a e1 is played because rook and f has purpose. So let's see. These players exchange a few moves, and after that we see Pragg's idea. He wants to double up and play along those lines. Queen h1, king h1, and exchange of the pieces inevitable by these two players. In this position, you can see Pragg went with this because if you take, I take, and Pragg has advantage. So Caruana decided to take with the pawn, and now Pragg decides to get out of danger. Well, during this game, you probably thought that this was gonna be another safe draw by these two players, but I can't tell you that you're very, very wrong, because after this position, you can see the masterpiece and the just absolutely magnificent play by one of the players that are there. I'm not gonna spoil you. So let's begin. G3 is played. Rook e3. You can see that Fabi is pressing, but he's down the pawn. Rook e1 and bishop b6. King g2. And after that, it's f6 with queen. Now, bishop c4, very interesting move. Well, engine said that bishop c4 was the best move because bishop here serves a lot more purpose, because you can see that with the queen and with the rook, white maybe, or the black should try to push the pawns or undermine this weakness that is there. So bishop c4 is very important move. Now, you can see that Fabi is really trying to do that because he doesn't want this pawn to advance. After queen f1, which is also the best move, now Fabi makes a mistake with bishop c5. After that, brilliant, magnificent sacrifice of the rook, and now another best move played by Pragg. After bishop b6, we can see that Pragg plays another best move. After queen goes back, Pragg utilizes his advantage, and he's really trying to push his opponent. After bishop goes back, queen e2 is played. King e2 is played by Pragg, and we see now Fabi goes with his idea on the queen side. After b3 and after queen e7, now Pragg plays another best move. Now another mistake by Caruana, and now in this position, queen takes e3 was the best move, because after takes, white had major advantage in the position, but Pragg missed that and went with d5, which is still not the worst move by any stretch of the imagination. It is a very normal move for a grandmaster to play at this level, and now Caruana still makes another mistake, and you can see that Caruana is trying to play on the activity, but he is now taken away by position, because you can see that Pragg has 2 pawn advantage. After bishop b5 and queen here, Pragg has now 3-point advantage, and Caruana really starts to understand that everything was okay with the position. Everything, it was another Italian, another normal game, but now the great play of Pragg, his resourcefulness now gave him advantage. And this is getting out of hand for Caruana, and it's already got out of hand. Look at this pawn. Who can stop this pawn? No one, actually, because after few moves, Pragg is able to create a stronghold in the position where Pragg just has 2 queens. And after a few moves, we can see that it's over. It's over. Pragg, with his beautiful ideas during this, with one missed move, he transforms the position with king, which is active, with 2-point advantage. He converts this endgame and converts this advantage absolutely magnificently. Even though they're low on time, Pragg doesn't go to under pressure. He knows that he has advantage, and he magnificently forces Caruana to make mistakes, and he wins this game. And a few moves before, we could see that Fabi was winning this game, one of the games, and now Pragg won the game. This is serious thing for Caruana, because he almost won one of the games. I think it was second game, and now, or the first game, and now he's lost the third one, and he's going into the position, into the situation where he must win one remaining game which is left. So I'm gonna review that game, and I'm gonna be back in a few minutes. Welcome back. Now we have the last game of the tie breaks. Caruana has the white pieces, Pragg has the black pieces. This is the last game of the tie breaks. Caruana is in a situation where he has to win this game in order to have chance of survival, or he will be eliminated. E4, E5, and knight F3. Traditional game is played, and now we see another Gioco Pianissimo. Fabi is still trying to push the pawns on the queen side, getting that advantage, and now Black is really trying to utilize that. White has overextended on the queen side, and he tries to mobilize his pieces to start an attack on the king side. After a few developing moves, position seems relatively okay, even though Pragg has not major, but positional advantage, which is usable to win a game. Because of Caruana's must-win situation, he goes with a very aggressive type of game. We can see that he makes mistake, and Pragg just with no mistakes, just like every single game, Pragg is under some kind of pressure by Caruana, and he magnificently avoids that and plays the best moves. He plays the best moves, and we get in the position where Pragg has major advantage. But it's very hard for someone, when you're playing for a draw, to always play the best moves. And when you're not playing the classical game of chess, it's not very easy for Grandmaster, even though Grandmaster is the best. But they're not robots, we have to understand that. So they make a few mistakes, but Pragg, look at this. Another great move by Engine, another great move by Chess.com, another great move. And now it's a mistake, but you can see 3 very great moves by Pragg, and he had advantage here. He should have played them. After that, knight f7, and Engine thought that after knight f7 he had advantage. But it's very hard to see that when you have 1 minute and 41 seconds left on the clock. But even though this is deemed as mistake by Engine, Pragg still continues to play. Now Pragg played the blunder. A5 was apparently the best move. He went there, and this was the Caruana's last chance of victory. But he makes mistake in a situation like this. It is very I understand Caruana's situation. He was winning some of those games, and he's apparently out of nowhere lost that game. He just slipped through his hands, and now he's really frustrated, and he has only 30 seconds left on the clock. And even though Caruana tries, you have to. You don't really need my reminder that Caruana is one, if not. After Magnus Carlsen, I think Fabi historically is the second player, and his second player in general, and he's now in the second rankings also. Caruana is really strong. He can get advantage from every position, so he continues, he fights, he plays the best moves, but it's very hard in the position like this. It's already too late, and after a hard-fought battle played between these 2 players, they reached the position where You can do nothing. And Caruana gives up and they agree to a draw. What a recap this was. They played amazing chess. They played absolutely magnificently. Praggnanandhaa, I don't like see how after Magnus and Hikaru and that age of golden era for chess that came with Magnus's play and Hikaru's rise of chess. I don't know how any of these players will gonna beat Indian players such as Arjun Erigaisi, Gukesh, and especially Pragg, who has now secured the spot for the candidates. Congratulations for Pragg. He's going to the final. He's gonna face the greatest player in our times and probably the greatest of all time. Thank you for watching. Like this video and subscribe. Don't forget to check out me on Twitch. I'm gonna stream tomorrow, and also check out the Grandmaster's plays. Don't forget that to improve your level of chess. Goodbye.